Welcome to the Globetrottin ADs. This podcast is for you, athletic directors, activity coordinators, coaches, and program associates based in international schools around the world. The Globetrottin ADs is proudly hosted by Nick DeForest from the American International School Vienna and Matt Fleming from the American International School of Budapest. Here they are now, Nick and Matt and the Globetrottin ADs.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Globetrottin ADs. We're very excited to get going with this podcast. It's the first of a series that we're going to try to do on a new section for the NIAAA. It's a new course that's going to be offered for international school athletic directors or those who are interested in this area. And it's 910, which is the official title for the NIAAA. And today's section of 910 is entitled Dealing with Unexpected Events. So we're going to dive into that a little bit and find out what this new course, these particular areas are covering. And we're happy to have some interesting guests with us from around the world as usual. But before we get into that, I'm going to throw it over to my partner, Nick. How we doing, Nick? In Vienna.
Yes, thanks, Matt. We're not together for this one. We're back in our basements on Zoom, but it's a good one. We're going to get right into it. I'm excited to have three new guests on the show, but not new to us. Matt and I know you guys for a while, but we have Dave Goetz, who is the executive head of activities at AIS Johannesburg in South Africa. Then we have Scott Fitzgerald, activities and athletics director at the Cairo American College in Egypt. And Juan Santamaria, the athletics and student activities director at, Juan, correct me after this, Escuela Internacional, Sampedrana in Honduras.
You did well.
Really? Okay.
Muy bien.
Not bad.
All right. Well, yeah, Juan, Scott, and Dave, thanks for taking the time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Okay, well, dealing with unexpected events, 910, let's... Dave, can you just kind of give us an outline of your course, the main sections of what people can expect?
Sure. Thank you, Nick. I'll kick this off. Greetings from South Africa. It's been cold and cloudy lately here, but we're getting over that. Usually it's sunny. As we know, we all as ADs put a lot of time planning our events, and we often do a great job of that. However, there are unexpected things that can occur that can have profound impacts on the outcome of your event, on the students, the faculty, the school, the communities. How we react as athletic directors is important to ensure the best possible outcome from these unexpected events. So what we did here is we decided we'd make some example categories of unexpected events. And we have political unexpected events, like, let's say, civil unrest, terrorism, elections, those kinds of things. Security, like theft, loss of funds, even a loss of a student. Inclement weather, cyclones, earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. Medical issues, we're living in a pandemic, so that's high on the list, but there can be viruses, pathogens, and student injuries. Personal family emergencies can come up for individuals that are a part of your event. And then logistical issues, like, let's say, an airline liquidation after you purchased all your tickets, or sudden need to alter travel plans for other reasons. These are some of the categories. Final category would have been some student issues that we're probably more used to and happen a little bit more frequently, like behavior problems, curfew violations, alcohol, tobacco, drug violations, things like that. We're then proposing to get into some case studies on actual events that have happened around the world that we're aware of. We think that this is going to be a really interesting part of our section, where all of the participants in the course can get together in small groups and analyze a case study and come up with maybe how they would deal with it, and then perhaps compare it to how the actual AD on site dealt with it at the time. So we think that that's going to be a lively and interesting part of our course. Then I guess the third and final sort of area of our course gets into categories of mitigation and action. There's various categories that we've sort of identified, like collaboration with the leadership team, risk assessment documents, emergency action plans, faculty crisis training clinics, and then finally tips and techniques for the athletic director, which is more of a fourth category and final category in our section. So that's the basic outline. I'll pass it back over to the esteemed disc jockeys that are leading us here.
As I say, this is full on. This is great. And how you're going to pack that all into a 1 hour presentation is going to be quite interesting, because that's a lot. And as us as ADs, we've been through these types of things, and I'm sure there's other stories out there we can hear about and learn from. And I look forward to hearing that eventually down the road. But maybe before we get into the other nuts and bolts, maybe the three of you can kind of walk us through the process, because I know there's other groups of ADs who've been working on other topics related to 910. But maybe if one of you guys, before we get a little deeper, just talk us a little bit about the process you guys went through to kind of arrive at the topics you're going to discuss, or the outline that you came up with for this particular section.
Good afternoon. This is Scott in Cairo, beautiful sunny Cairo. So welcome to this great podcast with Nick and Matt. What happened with our group is I thought we had a very nice working relationship with the four of us, Jason and Juan and Dave and I. And we started meeting on Wednesday nights, and we got right to it. It's the way I think we are. We're busy people. And so we said, okay, let's write. After the first meeting, we went back and said, if someone write a course outline, I said, I'll write a course outline. So I write, without putting a lot of detail, tried to do it in 3 paragraphs, just a unexpected events section outline. And then Dave, he's very good at deciphering things and putting stuff in order. And he took that and he added some bullet points and he expanded on it. And then we met again and we looked at that, and it was kind of just what we wanted, and we had it nailed down. And then when we had those online meetings, we'd be on the computer and writing. Dave or I would be writing, and we'd be talking it up between the 4 of us. And we came up with an outline that we thought works. Dave just went through it with you, and I think we assigned some tasks about the categories and then we assigned us each to write different scenarios. And we think the scenarios are going to be a real powerful part of the course for the ADs who take it. And we wrote these cool scenarios and we talked about them. And that's what I thought was the powerful part of us putting together this course. And there it is on paper, and we've sent it in to Scott at the NIAAA. And I think it'll be good, but it needs some tweaking. And then it should be, like you guys said, there's enough here to do almost the whole course, but we'll get it into 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing. I think when all this stuff comes back to the NIAAA, like, is it really only going to be one course? All this information is coming back, because we know what the job entails and what we've been through, but I think for them on their side of the their side of the globe and dealing with what they do, we know it's quite different, but it's going to be tough just to squash this all into one course. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do it.
That was our take as a group of 4 going through this. We're like, this could be a whole course.
For sure.
But I mean, I'm sure the other 6 people in writing this course are saying the same thing.
Yeah. Because I thought that when I got through our section, like, there's no way we're going to be able to cover just these 3 bits in 1 hour. So, which is the exciting part of it, because I think that can offer more for the organization, more for us as international ADs. And I think, there's a lot of good stuff that can be dug into, and everybody will benefit from it eventually.
Juan or Dave, did I miss anything in that recap of how we put this little work together?
I think, Scott, adding that the 4 of us have different backgrounds. different places. We are from different places in here in the world, and it just gives so interesting perspectives, right? Like I have to deal with hurricanes every year. We even had two in a time frame of 2 weeks. Um, and also a lot of brainstorming. There was a lot of brainstorming between the four of us. And as you said, as you mentioned, Scott, it was just great working with you three guys and having a very good professional time together.
Right. Well,
Yeah, and let me just jump in. I'm just going to play on something that Matt was hitting on, which was that there's an awful lot of content here, and perhaps the course could be split into 2 or 3 in the future. It'll be easier for us to delete a lot of the content, and at least we'll have it for the time that when we perhaps want to expand another course. Yeah, it just goes to show how much is out there and how much knowledge there is amongst us, and how interesting it all is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Hey, before we go any further, I apologize because I wanted to introduce the other member who's not with us, who couldn't make it tonight for the podcast, but Jason Cuthbert, the 4th member of your group, the athletics director at the American School of Warsaw. So, hey, Jason, sorry you couldn't be with us tonight, but sometime soon, I hope.
Yeah, we'll get him another time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not too far away from us.
Right.
So unlike Juan over there in Central America, it's a little bit different. But
Well,
we'll track him down eventually.
These things happen, right? These unexpected events happen all over. But I mean, this is like a hot topic course, right? So what's the key event, or what did you guys indicate that maybe might be relevant, the most relevant? Like Dave, you just mentioned you're going to maybe cut some things out. So would it be one of those sections? Like what's the...
Well, I think what you're hitting at is what's the most important takeaway for ADs that would take this section of the course. And I think the most important takeaway was what we'll put in our so-called title page, I suppose, which is expect the unexpected. The more planning you can do for things that you just completely wouldn't expect will help you in times when something actually does happen. I mean, how often do we expect an earthquake or political unrest to happen? We don't really think that's going to happen. But we know through experience that occasionally, it happens.
Yeah.
And if we can be planned for that, I think that's the biggest takeaway for ADs. If we can plan for that and have emergency action plans ready for these situations, then we're better off in the end.
Yeah, cool. And I'm smiling because, Scott, I'm looking at you when Dave mentioned political unrest. The case studies, you said they happen. So you didn't make them up like we have in 904, made up case studies. You actually have case studies that happen. So maybe, Scott, or is Cairo one of the case studies that happened maybe?
We had one of the case studies, and one was a story from when I was in Beirut 20-something years ago as a case study, but it could have happened in Cairo, where a child was lost in the souk. And, when a group was visiting, whether it could be at a tournament and we're walking around the souk in Cairo, which we've done with teams, or at that point it was a trip that was in Damascus and we walked around the souk. But yeah, super interesting. And I think getting back to what Dave was saying about the takeaways from this course, the other thing that we thought was so strong is that you need to engage the senior leadership team when these things happen. You need to do that sooner than later. That's the biggest takeaway for an AD. If an AD delays doing that, they could find themselves not in a place they want to be. So get with your leadership team, get them on board. Because one of the things that came up, one of my stories in the case study was one here in Cairo, but it was just about a coach who didn't get his visa the night before we're leaving. And so we're leaving to go to London to an ISST tournament, and the girls soccer coach doesn't get their visa. And the uproar that caused, because he was a national team coach who worked with all the girls for years. And we put another coach with them. We did the best thing we could for the students. We did the right thing. I engaged the leadership team right away to do that, and we did it with them. And, we got it solved. Not everyone was completely happy, but we did the best thing for protecting the students and getting that trip to go. So anyway, there were a few other ones. I don't know the rest of them offhand. Dave or Juan can pick up.
Nick, I want to add something to what Dave and Scott are saying. For me, the biggest takeaway is that ADs will have the right mentality, methodology, or create a methodology or system to prepare for unexpected events. That you have to be ready in this position, in this job, to be ready to deal with unexpected events. Yeah. So have the mentality, have set up, have your systems in place, your protocols in place, because every time you get out of your office or your program goes somewhere, you need to be ready. Because anything that you can think that could happen can happen. So I don't know. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a mindset you have to have when you're going to a long weekend tournament. I mean, it could deal with housing issues. It could deal with referees not showing up. It could be teams not have enough players, like all these adjustments you need to make. So flexibility is a huge key, I think. Being even keeled, even-minded for everything, open-minded, and having that thought process of you're always going to try to do what's best and just try to be as calm as possible. Be the calming force in the chaos. It's not easy to do, of course, but I think that's an important thing to keep in mind too. When these things happen, these things go haywire, and being the calming force because there's so many people that are impacted when these things happen, and they know they got to have somebody that they can go to for clear answers and something that's going to keep them calm as well, especially if you have a coach who's in charge of a group of kids, right? They need to know that they got something they can count on.
What I find really interesting is that, let's say all of these unexpected events, they've happened to somebody. In Vienna, we haven't had to worry about political unrest, one, but I know someone who has. And then natural disasters, like Juan, you mentioned hurricanes, that they happen almost every year. You have to, it's funny, when does an unexpected event become expected? Like how, when you prepare so much, then hurricane. Well, I know what to do.
It just happened last week in our country. We don't get tremors or earthquakes. We don't. Salvador, Guatemala, the neighboring countries, yes, they do. We got one after 20 years.
Wow.
And all of us, superintendent from everybody, maintenance, everybody, coaches, teachers were like, what do we do? Oh, okay, so we go out. Where do we go out? And it was just like, we need to review again the Red Book for emergencies. Because we're not used to that. And it brought me again to what we were doing in the course. Yeah. We need to be ready. It can happen anytime. Anytime.
Right. Well, if a hurricane comes through Budapest, Juan, I'm calling you.
You're calling me.
Yeah.
If a snow blizzard happens, I will call you and Nick.
Yeah. Dave, what about you down south? Have you had to, personally deal with any unexpected events down there?
Sure, but I'll take you to one that happened in Asia. The ones that I've got a couple good ones actually for Africa. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about them yet, but here's a good one, and it's a well-known one. I think about 2002 was when the Bali bombing happened. An Abu Shakra type Al-Qaeda group bombed some nightclubs in Bali at a time when it was peak season, holiday season, and Bali's a popular destination for Australian tourists. I think about 200 and plus people died in that bombing. About 80 of them were Australians. And the repercussions of that were that the capital, Jakarta, which is also in Indonesia, it's, you know, it's a 2-3 hour flight away. It's far away, but we were supposed to fly. They were to host an international soccer tournament called IASA Soccer, and we were supposed to go there from Malaysia. The school heads got together after that, and despite the fact that the host AD and school head really appealed for everyone to keep calm and to keep the tournament in Indonesia, the fact that the U.S. Embassy put a travel advisory warning rather on Indonesia was enough to have the majority of school heads refuse to go. So we were faced with the prospect of canceling this ICEA tournament, which would have been a first. So instead, that tournament was transferred to Malaysia, where I was working, and that had to happen basically overnight. You know, within a week, all of the gear from the tournament was brought over. The T-shirts and everything had Jakarta written on them, but the kids got them in Malaysia, you know. Sure. The trophies were Indonesian carvings. You know, it was they had bought and everything. They just packed it up and brought it, and all the ADs had to go into fast gear and I suppose figure out how to get their teams, rather than flying to Indonesia. They had to fly to Malaysia, and so the tournament happened. I guess it was in 2004-ish. But yeah, it was one of these examples where people needed to really do an about face and rebook their tickets. Right. The host school had to figure out referees, you know, host families, the whole thing, everything on a moment's notice. And we did it successfully. So, you know, it was a pretty good moment, and it was a pretty successful example of how schools can pull together and make quite a bad moment into a decent moment.
Cool. Yeah, very cool.
Well, we don't want to give it all away, right? We don't want to give any spoiler.
You have to take the course still. Yeah, you have to take 9-10.
but
don't worry, we got plenty of examples. We're going to talk about them all. No one's going to remember.
But I think this is a great start for the 9-10 in general. Like I think, you know, the group of people that have been brought together for this particular section, we'll get into the other sections later, bring a wealth of experience, and I think we're on a great path in terms of what this section is going to bring. And I'm sure Jason, who couldn't be with us tonight, I'm sure he's got a lot more to add as well. So before we kind of wrap it up, do you think there's anything we're missing here, or is there maybe something else we didn't hit on you'd like to, without giving anything away for the course itself? If you got anything you think we haven't covered, fire away, let us know.
No, I think we're very enthusiastic about this topic, especially now that we are living during a pandemic, and we have to expect anything happening. I think I don't know how CISA doing, or the organization where Scott or Dave schools are part of. We are restarting again events. Mm-hmm. We're working a lot with protocols here in ASCA and ABSH. ABSH is the Honduran conference. And it's just incredible how you have to plan and think about all the different variables that you can have. Mm-hmm. So having that mentality will be critical in order to be successful for the following 2-3 years, or maybe more. So this course will be definitely something good to have to take for ADs. It's going to be fantastic.
And I think we're living this unexpected events every day. This Saturday, we're having our first time of visiting schools come back in for the past 18 months. So I've created a document that's, you know, guidelines for visiting teams, and we're going to have every player fill out an online questionnaire, and they're coming in, and we're going to have them checked by the nurse, and they're only visiting 3 locations on the campus. We're doing it on a Saturday morning when very few people there, and we're letting no spectators in, no parents of ours and no parents of theirs.
Mhm.
But we're having a game, and I think that's
Cool.
progress.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, look forward to hearing about that. I don't know if you give us a recap later.
We can do that for you.
That's positive news. I'm happy to hear about that.
Yeah, that is huge. We haven't had a game in a year and a half, so I hope that works out for you, Scott. I did see your paperwork on the mitigation, I suppose, things that you're going to do to pull that off, and I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's been exciting to work on, and tomorrow we're going to do a game with our teams, and we are letting a few parents in. Our JV will play our varsity girls, our JV boys, just to do a little bit of a trial and put people in uniforms and let them have a look, pretend what it's like to have a game again.
Yeah.
And then we have these pretty quick, both teams coming at once, boys and girls playing for an hour and a half on Saturday morning. So on we go. That's a great thing to put back in place.
Some excitement, right? Some excitement around the campus, something going on, whether there's parents or not. It's cool. Very cool. Well, listen, not off the NIAAA totally, but the conference coming up in December. You three, I think, would go normally in a normal year. But have you looked into if you can make it this year, and what would it be like flying from where you are, or are you definitely not attending? Dave, what do you think? You go first.
Yeah, I'm about 90% there. I just have to figure out some details. In terms of COVID, I can get there.
Yeah.
I just have to do a COVID test before getting on the flight here within 72 hours, a negative test. And then I don't know exactly what happens when I arrive in the States, but I've been fully vaccinated, so I don't think that's a problem. Then I would need another COVID test to leave the United States to get on the flight. Mm-hmm. No problem coming back into South Africa. It's Africa. We can rock up, no problem.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Juan, what about you? I mean, you're the closest, I think, of all of us, right?
Oh yeah, I'm only 2 hours away from United States.
Yeah.
No problem. Same. I'm like Dave, 90% sure that I'm going. Mm-hmm. Still working on some details. My superintendent, she will come back to school. She's working on some stuff. She's gonna come back this week at Friday. Mm-hmm. So, but I think I'm going. It's easy for me. We just do an antigen test, cool. 72 hours or less before we go. Then when I'm returning to Honduras, I don't have to do anything because I'm already vaccinated. So it's super easy. I mean, no problem here.
Scott, I think you may have a different answer.
No, I am. I'm in. I booked my ticket today.
Oh, wow.
I booked my ticket today. It's exciting. I wish I had done this sooner, Nick, and we can get out of Cairo. I would be going back to the United States anyway. So, cool. I'm excited. I wish I had been able to do this sooner, but I'm going to go this year.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
see
great.
you guys and whoever else is there.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. I'm still not sure, actually, because I just found out this week that although Canadians can fly into the U.S., if you live in the Schengen region right now, you can't without an exception. So I'm trying to work some magic. The guys at the NIAAA have got me a letter right away. So I'm going to apply for that exception this week. So fingers crossed for me.
Yeah. We hope to see you there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely planning on going. I submitted all my paperwork to the administration, so I'm just waiting to hear back. I'm assuming it's going to be a go because it's a regular thing for me, but I'm just waiting to hear back. But getting in and out of the country for me won't be a problem.
No. Yeah, you American guys. Easy.
Yeah. Coach Evaluator is the premier coach evaluation software for schools and athletic organizations and preferred coach evaluation solution of the NIAAA and the Positive Coaching Alliance. The system is completely customizable with an always growing evaluation template library for athletic directors to reference. There are not only evaluations for ADs to use, but also self-evaluations and parent-player evaluations of coaches. Learn more about digitizing and simplifying your coach evaluation process by visiting www.coachevaluator.com. Mention Globetrottin ADs to receive a $200 discount on the yearly rate.
Kukri are a global multi-sport clothing brand specializing in providing the world's most prestigious schools with bespoke made and designed team uniforms for students of all standards and abilities. If you are frustrated by inconsistent colors, branding, costs, and sizing across your school's uniforms, then it's time to discuss an offering where every sport is available from softball to soccer for male and female athletes at rates to suit your budget. To find out how Kukri could elevate the apparel of your student athletes to a professional level, email the team at contact@kukrisports.com. A dedicated sales manager will offer you a quote today. Mention this ad and receive a special offer on your coach or PE staff order.
Yeah, so hopefully, if all goes well, we'll all see you guys there in person in a few short months. So, but until we get to there, one of the regular segments we have our guests on, where they're from the various parts of the world. We always like to ask them a little something about where they're from, a little bit about the best thing they think about the place they're located in, whether it's the locale, the food, something to see, something to drink, something we should know about that maybe might not be quite as popular as you might know about that particular place. So we'll just go around and just ask you guys what's something really cool about where you're at, and tell us about it. So we'll start with Scott, Cairo.
I'm in beautiful Cairo, Egypt, and there's a reason why this is the playground of Europe. And I think Upper Egypt is amazing. I think the mountains of the Lower Sinai might be one of the nicest places you will go on earth, and see and drive through those beautiful mountains and walk up Mount St. Catherine.
Cool.
I think way down in the South Red Sea below Masa Alam might be another really super nice place. But Egypt has a lot. I mean, you could go to see Oasis. There's just so much. And when you go to Abu Simbel, and you're just awestruck at looking up at those monuments that they have moved onto dry land from the middle of Lake Nasser. This whole place is amazing. So come to Egypt.
Oh,
Okay, I haven't been to any of those places. I've been to Egypt, Cairo twice, and I've seen a lot of great things, but nothing on that list. So that's good.
When people come to Cairo, I try to tell them that pay the 200 LE and walk under the pyramid tube, because when is the next time you're going to get the chance?
Yeah. Did that. Yeah, absolutely.
So do that next time, Nick.
Yep, for sure.
I love it. I've only been to Sharm el Sheikh. It was great though.
Well, let's
right.
travel farther down. Stay on the continent. Dave, what about you?
Okay, well, I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa. Just an hour and a half out of the city. You can go to Plannisburg National Park, which is one of the many game reserves here. And it's seriously like Jurassic Park when you go through those gates. There's just incredible animals in there. And they're not hard to find. Packs of wild dogs, lions, cheetahs, elephants, the whole thing. Yeah. They've got the big five in many parks here, and Plannisburg is one. If you want to go a little bit further, you can go to Kruger National Park, which is the biggest game reserve in Africa. Again, fantastic stuff in there. Interesting thing about that park is that illegals coming from Mozambique like to run through that park if they can. They don't always make it. There's the lion issue, but
wow, yeah.
But it's incredible the tourism opportunities in South Africa, and the game reserves are probably a highlight of that. Cool. But it is not restricted to that. You've got great surfing, just awesome mountain biking, whatever. South Africans do it. It's a great place.
Awesome. Yeah. Traveling again. Oh my God, I'm ready.
Oh, it really makes me hungry. Makes me hungry for it.
Juan, don't be shy. Compete with that. Can Honduras compete with those two?
Oh yeah, it's different. It's just a different, I'm from San Pedro Sula, Honduras, the second city, the second biggest city in the country. So the first thing is Bay Islands, Caribbean Sea. You can imagine the coconuts, the water, so transparent, blue. I mean, it's the Caribbean. If you see all these ads about the Caribbean in the TV, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So we have that. We also have the rainforest. We have the Mayan ruins. I mean, Scott has the Egyptians, the pharaohs. We have the Mayans. So
Yeah.
it's just but the best, the people. We are extremely friendly. I mean, if there is a country that is Latin America in general, we are very friendly people. So yeah, those are the things that we have here in Honduras.
Cool.
Food also is good.
This is great. Not enough time. Like your topic, like this 910 in general, just not enough time to go into detail about all this stuff. So hopefully in Denver, we'll do it over a beer at some place or over dinner and go a little deeper. But I want to just say,
As always,
thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. Thanks very much for all the work you put into this course. We're not getting paid for this, right? It's all volunteer, but so many people are going to benefit from this, and your time is invaluable. And I know the NIAAA will appreciate it, and we'd certainly appreciate from the Globetrottin ADs. And anybody out there who's listening, when the 910 comes out, you're going to get a wealth of information, and it's going to be great. So thanks again for all you put into it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
muchas
guys.
gracias. Muchas gracias.
Until next week, this has been another episode of the Globetrottin ADs.